Want to know how to be 10 times more effective than other leaders? If so, this video is for you. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt. Thanks for being here if you're new, and thanks for coming back. If you've been here before, you know that I love planning, organization, teaching mindset, as well as career and leadership tips. So I'm a leadership coach and career coach, and I'm also a manager in real life. So actually know what's up. So today we're going to be talking about how to be 10 times more effective than other leaders, and the secret that not a lot of leaders teach you. And I'm going to share what my boss many years ago told me that it's changed the way I do every single thing. So let's dive on in. When leaders go to implement a new idea or a strategy, you'll often see them presenting their idea in front of a team. Maybe you're sitting in a board meeting and around a table. Maybe that's pre-COVID. And so now it's all on a Teams meeting, and they're basically pitching you their idea. And they're saying, like, here's what I would like to do. And you're thinking, wow, this seems really innovative, really detailed, really thoughtful, and a bit controversial. But guess what? They do a vote and everyone's like, yep, I'm on board, and it's easy. And you're thinking, how do they do that? Like, that is such a power move. So the answer to that is, instead of presenting your idea in front of a large group for the first time ever, the person is doing a ton of legwork behind the scenes to vet their idea. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I had from one of my previous bosses was to go around and get buy-in from all the individual stakeholders before you bring them to a big group setting. So what this looks like is kind of meeting one-to-one, or sending an email or a Teams chat and saying, here's sort of my draft or my proposal of the thing I'm thinking of implementing. What do you think about this? What are your initial gut reactions? Or ask for like a specific piece of feedback on something that you're really wondering about. So a way that I recently did this is my team was trying to figure out what priorities we had for the year were in terms of projects. Like, which projects should we focus on? So I asked them all to tell me what would be their top 5 projects. So I took their feedback as well as our stakeholders' feedback and my thought process based on what I know about the strategy, and put together sort of a roadmap. So it was a visual with who is accountable, when work was going to be done on each project, as well as the status of the current project, and then a way for us to be reporting the status of the project each month. So I put it together, and of course I'm like, this is thebomb.com, right? Like, I love it, but let me just get some feedback. So one of my leaders, I know she loves design, and I know that they really love looking in Excel, and I had made this sort of in a table format. And so I just sent her a screenshot and said, here's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, when you look at it, does this make sense? Can you understand where I'm going with this? Do you get it, right? Like, I don't want to have to explain this. I want it to be so user-friendly that you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, totally know what's going on. So I sent it to her, and she sent me a few questions, and I was like, that's good. I'm going to incorporate that into the diagram. And she was like, oh, another thing is, I was wondering this. I'm like, oh, let me answer that by tweaking the diagram a little bit. So that was really cool. So I ended up getting her feedback and then tweaking it and sending it back. And she was like, I love it. It looks great. So that was awesome. So I knew that when I was going to present this to the big group, our big leadership team, that she would already be a yes. So after I had this sort of like PDCA, or plan, do, check, act, or continuously improved diagram, at each of the one-on-ones that I had over the next week and a half, I brought it to the person and said, here's kind of what I'm thinking for your goals for the year in terms of the projects and how you fit into the picture. Like, is this doable? Do you think this is realistic? And kind of asked similar questions and pointed out why I made a few of the choices I made, and got their feedback. And so one by one, I was able to get a yes from them. So then when I presented the idea at a team meeting and via email, it was all like, yep, we got it, let's go. And so this is really what effective leaders do, is that they do a ton of behind the scenes work to, first they take action, then they solicit feedback, and they listen, and they make changes, and then they solicit some more feedback, then they tweak and make more changes until they've got a yes all the way around. So when you are thinking like, how is this person in this meeting pulling this power move and automatically have yeses, it's likely that they did all this behind the scenes work to get to that yes at the table there. One of the also the coolest things I ever heard is sort of, I guess it's kind of a quote, is like, make it so easy for them to say yes that it's almost impossible for them to say no. So when you're thinking of your pitch or your negotiation or whatever you're asking for, make your message or your communication so clear, make your pitch so obvious that it's like, obviously, yes. So one way that you can get an obvious yes is to vet all the stakeholders behind the scenes so that in front of the big group, it just looks like, wow, what a lovely idea. And it doesn't mean you don't say in the big group, like I've talked to everyone. You can totally say that. Like, I've been working with everybody and I've taken all of your input and this is what I've come up with, right? You can be open and honest. It's not a secret. But I do find often people don't mention that. And then us rookies, we're like, how did that happen? So when ideas are not vetted ahead of time, you could have a really hard time having the group reach consensus, because in a group setting, people are shy and don't want to give you straight or honest feedback a lot of times. They'll just be silent. Have you ever been in a Teams meeting where you've asked for feedback and you have crickets? This is because it's just super awkward. So I find that one-on-one just works so much better when you're trying to get actual, honest, real feedback, so then you can make your idea better. This also makes the process go a lot quicker. So even though you're doing a lot of legwork behind the scenes, you can do that quicker because you're the one moving the person to person. When you're in that group setting, it's almost the person's response driving the quickness. So if you have to wait for that person to think about responding in front of a group, and then you have to bring it back to the group for a ton of revisions or reviews, that just takes way too longer. So people who vet behind the scenes are able to get their projects passed and move along much quicker. So if you would like to dive deeper into the process that I use for securing yeses ahead of time, I would highly recommend that you grab your spot in my free 4-day organized AF challenge that I'm going to be running here towards the end of June. So we'll be diving deep into topics for 4 days in a row, and I'm going to be going live, adding tons of value so that at the end of that 4 days, you can feel super organized in your work and have systems that create ease and flow so you can be a proactive leader. So check it out. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care. Thanks for watching.